Well, good afternoon to some, good evening to others, and good morning to others. Welcome here to LKM Kingdom Living, Leslie's Lessons Learned. My name is Leslie Montgomery. Let's get started. So I want to welcome my guests here today. I'm excited for them to be here today. I'm excited about the topic. It's been in my heart, and I've been thinking it and pondering over and over again about just speaking to encourage the parents that on some of the things they can do to help enhance their children's school year this year. So as we get started, I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves because I think that they'll do a better job of introducing themselves than I would do. So I want to start with Naomi. Uh, Welcome, Naomi. Thank you so much for being here. I know that you're a homeschool teacher. I know you're a tutorer, but just take a minute and tell us about what you do and who you are.
So good afternoon, everybody. So, like she said, I'm Naomi. Y'all see that right there? Yeah, yeah. So I'm Naomi, and I am the owner of Kingdom United Solutions, where we specialize. One of our specializations is helping families transition from public schooling to homeschooling. One of the things that I do is I help in that regard because I believe not every child thrives in the classroom setting. And when we understand that, we give other options that are more feasible and workable for them to indeed still have an amazing education experience and continue to thrive. So that's what I help families do. And I offer tutoring service as well. I also homeschool my own children. I have three sons, two senior, not two seniors, but two teenagers and a 10-year-old, and they are yet thriving and doing very well in that space. So, based on that, um, I was called to start homeschooling them, and I didn't know why initially, but now I am in the space of helping parents. So, that's what I do in Kingdom United Solutions. So, thank you for letting me share. Leslie, you got unmute.
That would work, right? Ah, I was muted, Marla. This is going to be a good show. Um, yeah, so you have several different entities of this. You have the reading the Bible, teaching the children how to read the Bible. You have after you homeschool, you also do the tutoring where after children come home, you have you tutor with them. So you have a lot of things going on. And then I know you have, and it should be coming if you haven't had it yet. You usually have an open house where you do the video for parents to come and learn more about it. So thank you so much for being here today. And you look like a professor sitting over there, Miss Marla. And I'm just so happy that you're here today, all the way from New York. Tell us a
Good,
little about you.
good afternoon, good evening. My name is Marla Robertson. Happy to be here with Naomi and Alfreda. And thank you so much, Leslie, for inviting me. I am an educator, dancer, um, creative, and I also do a little grant writing. And I just like working with kids, apparently, because I've decided to become an educator with the New York City public school system, and this will be my seventh year. I'm an ESL teacher. I work with English language learners. I no longer like to say second language learners because most of them are already multilingual, so they know more than two languages. And so I work with that population of students. But as we continue with this program, you will learn that I like to work with any student. Um, all students in the classroom are my students, not just the ones that appear on my roster. And so I'd like to put that forth into this space just, as we begin. And, I'll continue with I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. You know, she's a dancer. She got a lot going on as well. And those that are looking for grant writers, she's also available to help you find grants. So, and she does a great job at that. Some of them she could rattle off the top of her head. So, thank you so much for being here. Alfreda, that Philadelphia coming in from the West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground. Come on and tell us about what you do.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. Sorry, my name is Alfreda Walker. Yes, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I work at a LMB school from kindergarten to eighth grade. I work with autistic children, and I've been doing this for like 15 years. So, yeah, I'm like Marlo. Them kids is my heart, because all kids deserve to get an education, and they can learn. So, I'm excited to be here to talk about it, because parents need to know that their children can learn. I turn the mic over.
That's a oh, thank you so much. So, as we continue with this conversation, I want to thank all of you for just taking a moment and invite, just telling the audience who you are. My heart is towards the children. My heart is we have a society, or with if you've been in this, as long as you ladies have been in the school systems, you've seen a lot of changes. And one of the things I want to do is encourage parents. Some parents are homeschooling, some parents send their children to public schools, and some children at the moment, the parents would love to send them to private school, but they can't afford it. They might live in an area where the school system is not supporting them. And, even though I've seen children that, even in that situation, have thrived, the parents was very supportive, and the parents did what they needed to at home, and to build their children up to stay focused and do things a little bit different. And I had a conversation with each one of you, but I want to start with you, Marla, because when we were talking about it, you had given some advice because you're in the public school system and because you're in New York. you know there's some advice that you can give to parents that could help them through the school year. It's the beginning of the school year. Some have started in August, some have not started yet, but we're still at that point where we can begin to build and help our children. What would you say to that?
Well, thank you for that question, for that prompt. To sort of open with connecting with the theme, whether or not to send your child to public school or to homeschool them or to private school, wherever you go, just know I would encourage parents that don't already know this to remember that learning does begin at home. My first teacher is my mom. It's as simple as that. It doesn't just start and end when they enter a school building. We have to remember that learning begins at home, and that we should take every opportunity to engage with our kids. I know that parents have crazy work schedules, of all the groups of people that are involved in the students' education, administrators, teachers, the students themselves, and parents. I know parents are probably the most tired at the end of the day, but teachers are too, educators, administrators are too, and the students are the most tired. So they're also tired. We're all tired, so we all have to work together. Um, and so remember that learning begins at home, continues at school. Okay. And I get that, some parents aren't able to monitor what's going on in their children's education, or monitor as much as they'd like to. I'm going to say that. I'm not a parent, so I don't know what it is like to teach kids and then go home and be a mom. So I do think that it is important that parents also remember that we're your allies. We're not the enemy. We want to help you. We're here to help you. We went to school to help you. We learn things to help you. Even those of us that are, homeschooling, we prepared to help you. We are prepared to help. And so, um, you know your child better than we do, even though we might spend a very good portion of the day with them, and maybe work schedule and life circumstances don't allow parents and students to spend as much time as one would like in order for there to be some accountability. But just use us. We're, answer our calls when we call you and tell you this is the deal. But at the same time, I know for me, I need to make sure that I'm not always calling to report bad things. You know, I need to remember that parents want to and expect to hear good things as well as the things that need to be worked on. So, we're your allies. You know your child better than us. So, in addition to the tools that we bring to the table, you got tools that you use all the time to know during this part of the day, my child does this. If possible, if you know that, math in the morning might not be the best thing for little Brandon. Okay, I'll consider it. Our schedules are not made by us, but as a support teacher, and I'll go into that a little bit more, as an ESL support teacher, if you have a student that's a multilingual learner, that is also important, because I know that some students that are learning to use the English language a little bit better, they shy away from letting us know, oh, I actually speak this language very well, or I speak my home language very well, but I might be a little shy and don't really want to let you know how well I probably can speak English. Because if we think about it, your home language helps you learn another language. And so if you know your child is a little bit shy, and I'm just saying, excuse me, specifically for my demographic of students, and you know your child actually knows a little bit of English than they are showing me or showing their other teachers, which brings me to my other point, will bring me to my next point. Let us know that, because everybody doesn't put what we need to know on that blue card that we pass out at the beginning of the year. And then the blue card that's on file in the office might also be wrong. So helps out, answer our calls, you know, give us some insight. And the next point I'd like to make is your teacher, your students have more teachers than you realize. And I say this because as a support teacher, I may not have my own roster of students, and we don't meet in the classroom regularly, as like I teach sixth, seventh, and eighth. But I work in a K-8 school. And so what might happen, since I teach and support sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, I might be taking them out of the ELA class depending on how many hours of support they need in the second language or the English language. And so if I take them out of a ELA class, there's an ELA teacher, there might be a special ed teacher, and there's an ESL teacher. There's three teachers in that room. There might be a para in that room. There might be a teaching assistant in that room. So in addition to asking that can, if you can, make time to answer our calls, and we hope that we give you good feedback, also know that you might be getting calls from other teachers, and that we are all working together to ensure the success of your child. And if it so happens that I am in a classroom and your child isn't one of my students, there may be a day or two where I probably will help your child with something. So know that, if parents don't already know, your child has more than one teacher that's actually showing up in the systems that hold all that information. Um, and it's okay to inquire if someone that you've not heard from is calling you. Just well, may I ask how you are involved in my son's or my daughter's classroom education? What is your role at the school if it has not already been identified? So I think that's a really important one. In addition to learning begins at home, your child has more teachers than you realize, and um, it's really important that children are learning, if they're not already learning, how to manage their time when they're in school, because it's important to be able to have high reading stamina. If there's not already a block dedicated to 30 minutes or 20 minutes of reading, whatever is necessary, um, teach them, give them the opportunity to learn how to manage that time in and outside of the classroom. Students should be reading 30 minutes a day, 20 to 30 minutes a day. Um, give carving time for reading. I think that's like one of the most important things. Like reading and writing go hand in hand. Speaking and listening. Those are the four modules that I focus on with my students. Learning, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And for ESL students in particular, they need to talk. They need to practice the English language. And so even if parents aren't able to be at home all the time, with any particular type of student that's learning anything, it's good to engage in conversation and to help students, give them opportunities to practice some of the skills that they're learning in school. Compare and contrast. So, did you like dinner tonight or did you like dinner last night? Give me some reasons why you liked dinner tonight compared to last night's dinner. Like skills that use words that they have to recognize all the time, analyze. They need to be able to closely examine things, closely examine reading materials. And so at home, you can give them opportunities to do that. Those buzzwords that appear on state tests, depending on your thoughts on state tests, it's still important to remember that there is an attached skill to these homework assignments that we expect them to do at home. I know there's some mixed feelings about homework, and if it's there can be mixed feelings, or if it's beneficial. Why are they doing homework at home? They're in school. Whatever I don't give homework because I know the students have enough homework already, but I do think that it's important to give a child the opportunity, whether they're learning the English language or not, to practice those skills, to describe something, to show why does something happen in this. Just I don't want to ramble, but like give students or carve in time or schedule time, whether it's supervised or not, to give the students a chance to do things at home. And then that way, if possible, parents are involved. If there are already systems in place by the teacher that allows a parent to look at something either in a Google Classroom, join the Google Classroom, please, parents. if if it is something that one of your child's teachers uses, join it. That is the most effective way, if it is being used, to just stay up to date. Even if you just log in for a second and just be like, oh, okay, they turned that in. Okay, they got that credit. All right. Oh, I didn't know about this. Ask them later. Leave a note if you're on your way out. Um, Hopefully, I'm answering the question. But if you don't remember anything I say, just remember learning begins at home. We're a team. Please use us. Um, don't avoid our calls. That's all. Don't avoid our calls. We want to talk to you. We need to talk to you. Um, Calling doesn't work. Email, text. I love a text. I love a text. I'll make it as simple, as streamlined as possible. Um, Again, yeah, it really does take a village. We are here to work together for the success of all children, and we're not the enemy. And I actually feel like I thought I had a cousin that was homeschooled. I thought that was the most cool. That was the coolest thing. My aunt homeschooled my cousin. I was like, wow, you can stay at home. You can learn at home. I didn't even like. I realize this now, and I know that I have students that were formerly homeschooled, and some of them they come in just with just a fresh, depending on their experience, of they have the opportunity for a fresh experience with other students. That I don't know a lot about homeschooling, but I do know that it's no different. We still have to work with the skills that you have, with the skills that you come into the classroom with, or that you leave the classroom with if you're formerly a classroom student and you go into homeschooling, because I know that also happens. Um, the expectations are still the same. Skills are being learned, and it's important for us to not only in the classroom give explicit instruction, give explicit feedback, steps on what to do. That also begins at home too. Like, oh, you didn't you didn't like some I'm just trying to think of an example of how we can give our sons and our daughters explicit instruction at home with chores, with a recipe. Like sometimes there's writing assignments that require students to give a sequence of events or a sequence of steps, and you can practice that at home. How you make this cake? Tell me how to make the cake. You can't tell me how to make the cake, you can't eat it. That's an assignment. It's sitting at the dinner table, or as a an assignment to leave for review later. Tell me about something that happened to you today, and just give your son or daughter a chance to express something that might happen, and then there could be some social emotional learning attached to it. That's a writing assignment. That's listening and speaking. um they could read it to you. If there's something that you think that they need to work on more, let us know, because we can always like cater things to um, fit or fine tune or tailor experiences or extra things. Because I know that parents ask for extra things. What else can I do at home? Or what do you think would help with this? And depending on my experiences with a student, i I have to see what works. What works for one student does not work for the other. What works for one sibling does not work for the other, may not necessarily work for the other. Oh, that's another one. Don't compare your students. It doesn't matter if the sister was here 2 years ago and did just fine. Congratulations, that's awesome, but do not compare your children. Um, like I said, I'm not a parent, but I'd like to think that that is one of the last things that I should do, because um, it can really affect them in ways we don't know. Kids don't talk until they are absolutely not supposed to. So we're not gonna know if this bothers them, if they're being compared to a child, being compared to a brother or sister, that could that's doing better than them. I need to get to know them for them and for what they can do. Like I can't necessarily assume that because Big Brother was a straight A student that little brother is going to be the same. So yeah, I'll stop there because I feel like I've been talking a lot. Um, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the other
One of
things
the other things
you
you
mentioned
mentioned.
was PTA. You want to
You
talk a
want to
minute
talk a
about
minute?
that?
Just really briefly, I have not been involved consecutive years, but I will say that's a really important thing to do or to consider. Because, like I said, I know parents may not be able to do all the things because they're already doing all the things. Okay, so I think that joining the PTA, or at least knowing who your officers are, or or who you can speak with about, I don't know, Girl Scouts. Like just knowing who the people are. And if you can be involved, going to a meeting, knowing what's on the docket as far as concerns in the building, not just with your child's education, but things happening in the building, programs that you can be a part of, um, after school things that might be coming up for your child. If your school has sports, those types of opportunities. But yeah, anything that has to do with parents and teachers coming together and working together is definitely something that I think would help in creating like um in creating a successful school year, because it's not just about students. I mean, the parents are part of the community too. The school community isn't just what happens inside the building. It's everything. It's inside the building, the courtyard, the neighborhood surrounding the building, because that's where most of my students come from, the neighboring apartment buildings and neighborhoods. So I think, yeah, PTA, and I did say I was just going to keep it short, but whatever allows the parents to come together with the teachers a little bit easier, because we don't always get a chance to meet with you during parent teacher conferences. We might not see a parent for the whole year, but if it's something that's a Zoom opportunity, I feel like with the changing times, sometimes Zoom, that's the best way to get my attention. You never know. A parent might be on their way to work or leaving work, but if they can connect with the PTA, they might find out about something they didn't know, because students don't like taking permission slips home sometimes. They don't like taking flyers home sometimes. They lose it in the bottom of their backpack. And so, a PTA opportunity, allows us to, I think it's a good tool to use if we need to just get another one more try to get this out, or one more try to make sure that a concern is being heard, and that parents know that we know this is happening, so that, again, they're not just relying on the students. We're holding ourselves accountable. And that's all I'm gonna say for real this time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
that
think that
a lot
a
of
lot of
times
times.
people think the PTA is just fundraising. They don't know that there's other things that are attached to it. But a lot of people, when they think PTA, they think fundraising, and they're not interested. But the PTA, like you said, holds a lot of, gives you a lot of information. There's a lot of things that's attached to it, and it's for parent and teacher. It's for we want the teachers to know us as well as we know the teacher, and for us to familiarize ourselves in the school. I was a part of the PTA, and things like that. My children are grown now, and one of the things you said was you don't find out right away how the child was, but you don't find out till they're 30 and 40 years old, and they telling you what happened when they was a teenager, and how they felt about competition, or feeling like they had to fill their parent, I mean their sisters or brothers shoes. And then you sit back and say, well, why you didn't say nothing then? But a lot of things you don't
Did Leslie
find out
freeze?
until they're grown.
Are y'all
So
froze or is it me?
no, I'm coming to you now anyway, but we're not frozen. We see you, you're moving. Um, I want to talk to Alfreda, because while we're on the public side of schools, and Alfreda, you deal with, I guess we won't be talking to Alfreda. Maybe she couldn't hear us. So Naomi, we'll come to you, as far as homeschooling and what that looks like, because a lot of parents are afraid of homeschooling. I would have home. Oh, here she comes. But let me just finish this thought, and then we'll go to Alfreda. Can you hear us, Alfreda? Okay. Um, I was kind of afraid of homeschooling, because I was like, you got to know this stuff, and I was like, mm-mm, they're gonna stay in school, you know. But it's a lot more to it than that, and it's not as well. Maybe when my girls was coming up, it was a little bit different. Now there's a whole lot more help. There's a whole lot more things on the internet and things like that. So it's totally different. But before you start talking, I want Alfreda to talk about working with autism school children and children that need extra help or that learn a little differently and what that looks like because you've been doing it for a few years now. And one of the things that we talk about, and you're very compassionate about it, and one of the things we talk about is that sometimes people think because their child has a, a, I can't think of what it's called right now, but they're not able to respond or participate like the regular children. I'll say it that way, that they can't learn. But we know that that's a miss. And you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Hi, everyone, again. Yes, I work
And
with
I'm
autistic.
and the other thing is Alfreda's still at work, so if she
Yes.
has to go, I want her to be able to go.
I just have a doctor's appointment at 5:15. Anyway, yes. Good evening, good afternoon again, everyone. Yes, I work with autistic children, and I've been working with autistic children really alone, maybe about 9 years now, probably longer. But I was always been a advocate. I mean, love children because I've been watching really growing up as kids. You what babysit for your kid, your sisters and your brothers. So that was a job right there, working with children. But I have a heart for autistic children because growing up as a kid, I was introduced to the movie Helen Keller, and Keller was blind, deaf, blind, and couldn't do anything. And back then, she had a worker that really worked with her, and no matter what she did to that worker, the worker did not give up on her. She kept fighting, and the parents worked along with the worker. So everybody may know
Maybe hers is not
children can
stable.
learn. That's why I don't give up on the children in my school and let everyone know they can learn if you put the patience in and you be patient with them. I know that there's a lot of children nowadays. We dealing with a lot of children with autistic problems right now, and I'm really surprised. I don't know where it's, yeah, I don't know where it's coming from. Can you hear me? Did I lose connection again?
No, go ahead. Keep
Leslie,
talking.
did I go out?
Keep talking. Can you hear us? Keep
Can you hear me?
talking.
You lost connection again? It's me. I'm at work. I don't know what's going on in the internet. Hold on.
So, Naomi, what we were saying about the children and homeschooling and how you came about it started out small. You was just doing it for your children, and it end up being a whole purpose, a whole project. You know, this is your lifestyle now, or what you do with it. Give us some advice on if I decided I wanted to homeschool my children and what that looks like. First of all,
Absolutely. So, I know for me, when it began, first of all, how did I start homeschooling? So the Lord spoke to me. My two older sons were actually in the public schooling space, in elementary school. And at the end of the second grade year and the third grade year, because my sons are close, my older two, the Lord spoke to me and said, "It's time. I need you to take them out and begin to homeschool." I wasn't thinking about homeschooling. I'm like, they cool at the school. I can be interactive at the school and everything, but I could not sleep. I could not rest. I told and told and told. And so, of course, I obeyed God's instruction and took them out of school. Now, initially, I had no idea what I what I was going to do with that. I did work with children. I did family child care at one point, and then I actually went to school for early childhood education as well as elementary education because I thought I was going into the school system. And the Lord said, I didn't call you to go into the school system. And so that's when I started homeschooling my kids, and I had to make a decision. Now, it was overwhelming, number one, because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what route I was going to take in homeschooling. And so I was having information overload. It was information overload on what direction to go. And several times I was like, you know what? We about to put them jokers, we about to put these young ones right back into school, right? But I had to stay the course. And so when you feel led to homeschool, that would be the first thing I would say is remove unrealistic expectations of what it looks like to homeschool. Remove those things out of your mind, out of your psyche. And that's something I had to do. I literally was trying to take what they did in their school times and bring it to the house. Unrealistic to a certain degree. Okay. The way their school day was structured was totally different. They're moving around a lot of variables, right? In the school, public schooling space or private school, right? They have a set schedule. Well, homeschooling them, that shifts everything. And so I had to become pretty much the school from the modern way of schooling in order to be able to really build a homeschooling environment that would be conducive for each child. Another thing I always stress to parents, if you're going to homeschool your children, it is to your benefit that you learn their learning style, not your learning style. Because if you do not know their learning style, you're going to bump heads. Your kids are going to be tired and sick of you, and you're going to be sick of trying to homeschool them as well. There's going to be a disconnect, and it's not going to be productive in the long scheme of things. So learning their learning style helps you understand how they comprehend information, how they learn. You know, are they more auditory? Do they need to hear to make connections? Now, you pull all those learning styles together, of course, but one is more higher than the others, right? And so you need to know that as a parent. I think if even if your child is in public schooling, you should know that as a parent as well, because that helps when they come home with their homework and you're like, why you don't get it, right? But if you have the ability to know those learning styles, it really helps you to formulate a way for them to learn effectively. When we opened up, I mentioned that I don't believe, I believe it's a lot of children in the public schooling space that don't belong there. You know, a lot of children thrive in those type of environments, and some children it causes setbacks, and so that's why homeschooling is very feasible for some. And a lot of children have homeschooled and went on to do amazing things in the earth. As it pertains to when you talked about um, homeschooling today versus what it was back in the day. One of the major things, one of the major myths is that your child will be desocialized. It doesn't have to be that way. There are many, many, many different ways for your child to socialize with other children, adults as well. I mean, today's time, you can go and meet up with groups. I know here in Georgia, it might be different from state to state, depending on state to state. But I know here in Georgia, we have different types of homeschooling days at different places where children who are homeschooled get to come together and meet up. They're able to connect in that way. Also, if you go to church, listen, your child's getting some interaction in children's Bible study or youth Bible study. You know, if you take them to extracurricular activities, That's another way for them to, begin to socialize. So it doesn't have to have that negative piece to it, because just in this day and time, there are many, many ways for our children to thrive in the space of communication. And it just sometimes, um, we limit that. Some people I know who homeschool, they don't really do that piece, but it does help with them interacting with other children their age and other people in that space. So another thing that I wanted to just say, one of the pros to homeschooling is the ability to be flexible. You have the freedom to be flexible in curriculum and scheduling, right? And things of that nature. If you are a parent and you feel like, oh my goodness, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, the great news is I went through the process, so you don't have to try to fumble through it and figure it out in others, right? And so one of the things I have done is I had no idea that I was going to be called to help parents navigate into this space, but because of everything that I had to endure to get to a place to discover what was working for my sons, I'm able to help other parents. So to date, since 2020 is when I really kicked into publicly offering services, and I've helped so many families really navigate that space of homeschooling. I really believe in forging. There are many different ways to forge effective education for our children, and so homeschooling is one of those ways. And so one of the things that I really tell parents is take your time. Don't be quick to throw in the towel. That's like in anything, right? Typically, if it doesn't work the first day, what do we want to do? Oh, I'm done. Hold up, it ain't even been tested yet. You gotta stay here. Hold on. It's all right. It's okay if they failed. It's all right if it didn't work that day. All right, let's dust it off and let's come back again, go to the drawing board, continue to work it. And if it's not working, then we can revisit it and decide what would be the best course of action. Does this curriculum need to be taken away? Let's find something better. And so that's what I help parents do. I help them walk through the process, because some parents can feel overwhelmed, right? Maybe you're a parent and you feel like, wow, I barely made it through school. How am I going to help my child homeschool? Well, that's where you can get help, right? You can get help with those who can help in those spaces where you may feel like you aren't apt to teach. Those who will give suggestions and assistance, just like in the school system, they give you assistance with working things that you can utilize at home. It's the same thing that I do with parents. I'll give them practical steps. I'm not trying to complicate it, right? But practical steps. Marlo mentioned like recipes and things of that nature. That was part of my son's lessons. Like, okay, we're gonna cook today. Let's see. How much is this? We gotta cut this recipe in half. How do we do that? And things of that nature. So you find ways that institute learning just in a different way, but it enhances their ability to still effectively learn and things of that nature. So those are just some things I would say concerning homeschooling. The last thing I would say that to be mindful of is time management. Time management is such a very pivotal piece. Again, when you're thinking about failure to plan is going to cause you to not be successful at it. And it's going to cause frustration, and it's going to cause, a stamper, if you will, on a process that should be enjoyable, fun, yet effective. Also, in my homeschooling space, I do tutor children that are in school as well. And the similarity that I find is that really honing in on how they learn. Again, I'm drilling this. That's what I do all the time. Honing in on how they comprehend, how they learn, what they do. It makes no sense to try to get them to see through your lens. It's impossible. It's impossible. One of the challenges I've met, it doesn't matter what child I'm working with, if it's a homeschooler, if it's a child that's in public school or private school, I have discovered some of them will, when they do not view failure as learning. They do not view failure as learning. So they will say things like, "Oh, I'm stupid," when they get something wrong. And I'm like, "Oh, hold on, hold on. No, no, this is part of the learning process." So, parents, I would encourage you as well. When your child isn't doing well in the subject, or, maybe it's a tougher subject or something in them, and maybe the concept isn't sticking, do not belittle their inability to comprehend immediately, but work with them on the level that they're on, and they will progress and do well. And I think that's so important because you can crush a child's spirit and they feel belittled. They feel pressure already to, especially parents. That's why when I tutor kids, I'm like, "Look, mama, auntie, whoever, can you step away, please?" Why? Because when you're standing there, they're looking at you, trying to see if it's pleasing what they're saying. And so that really takes away from the effectiveness of the tutoring process. Amen. So, okay, sorry, it's just the amen come out every time. All right. So it's very important that I would say those things are very important in building up the children and it helps them to be confident in their learning process. It helps them to be participators in their learning process as well. So even in homeschooling, some of those, a lot of those skills are still important, very, very, very important for them to continue to grow and mature and become lifelong learners. One of my pet peeves is I never teach for children. I never tutor or work with children for them to prepare to take tests. I work with them for them to master skills so that they can carry those skills throughout their life, not just to take a test, not just to pass a test, because learning is bigger than one test. And we understand tests have their place to show benchmarks and things of that nature. However, we want them to take those skills and apply it in life. And so that's one of my pet peeves. So I think I answered the question. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. But some of the things go hand in hand, some of the things in public school. Now, one thing I remember, I had a friend that her children would go to school like for gym or certain particular things. They would participate in certain things in school on certain days, even though they were homeschooling. So I don't know if that's still one of the ways that they can still get involved, but there's so many different ways, like you said, so many different avenues, and you really have to see what best fits your children. And I'm just throwing this plug in there that Naomi also works with adults, even though we're talking about children. She also works with adults as well. Alfreda, we back. We heard you the whole time. If you
Stop.
freeze,
I,
just keep talking.
all right. I didn't know. Y'all
That's
wasn't
all
moving.
right. That's all right.
Sorry
Just
about
keep
that.
talking.
All right, keep talking. Okay. Sorry. Listen, I'm just gonna get some key points for the parents that have autistic children. I want to say to them, don't give up on your children. Be patient with them. You're dealing with all ages with autistic children, especially from the kindergarten to fifth grade. A lot of parents are getting frustrated, don't have patience because they think their child can't learn. Yes, they can. You just have to be patient. And I also want to say a lot of the autistic children has IEPs, it's called Individual Service Plan. So I want to say to the parents, make sure your school is following that plan for your child. That's going to make sure your child get all the services it needs. And be in communication with your child's teacher. You have to be an advocate for your kids. Because some teachers may do what they're supposed to do and some may not. So that means you got to step as a parent and be an advocate for your child. Fight for your child. And there's a lot of resources out here now for children that have autistic children for their parents to get help. There's a lot of resources out here. There's a lot of help you can get for your child. We know it's not easy. I know it's not easy because we deal with them in school, but it's parent. They got parent communities together. All parents that have children, that might have children like yours, will help you out as well. So I'm saying to them, work with the school, work with the teacher. This is why I find out also when your child come to class and you know they have certain issues and they freaks out, you need to let the teacher know what would help calm that child down. Let the teacher know what kind help calm that child down. That way the teacher can work on it. So I find that's a bigger problem right now. We get new kids, but we don't know how to calm them down. So that's when communication comes in fact. Let the teacher know all about your child, what you do at home, and how you get he or she calm down. So we can do the same thing home. We got to work together as a team. Whatever you do at home, we don't want to work with you in school so the child can get everything that he needs. And listen, I've been dealing with two kids so far. We've been dealing with for last 2 years. They could not talk at all. They did not have no communication computers. They got a communication computers that they giving the kids now, where the kids gonna point, tell you what they want. Cause a lot of them is nonverbal. So make sure your child has that the communication got whatever computer. I'm gonna say computer because that's how they relate to us. That's how we could get them to talk. But we had one child, he couldn't talk at all here in my class. He couldn't talk at all. The parents were like babying him, but we got him to the point now. They got him a device. Now he's getting on the device, telling us what he want, and then now he's saying his name. So it's patience. It's patient with your kids. Your kids will one day, if they don't talk, they will be able to talk. If you have patience and work along with that teacher. Like I said, the most important thing, be an advocate for your child. And make sure the coach school is giving your child what he needs. Those services are being followed by your IEP. That's so important. And let them know you're involved in your child's life. That's very and very important. Fight for your child. Be an advocate for your child and communicate with the teacher. I gotta
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
I have
Thank
an
you.
appointment. Thank y'all. Nice being
Thank
see. I
you.
guess
Have a
when we
great
meet
day.
again. Love y'all.
Yeah. Well, we are at the 4:30, but I thank each and every one of you for giving information. The thing of it is that I hope nobody walks away thinking that they have the whole picture. This was just tidbits of stuff to help you prepare for your child this year. And the most important thing, and I'm gonna let you ladies say if you have something else you want to say as we end. The most important thing is be involved. Be involved in your child's education, be involved in your child's life. And it does make a difference. It makes a difference when you go to the school and the children see other parents there and you're not there. It makes a difference. When you do have sign up or if you're asked to come to a parent teachers meeting, it makes a difference. Please be involved. Don't be so busy. They are your children. And it is important that you be involved in every aspect of their lives. Because as Marla was saying earlier, they're at home with you. You are the beginning of teaching, training from when they come out of your womb. You're training and teaching them. And the more you stay involved, it doesn't matter that they're getting older. A lot of people, after their children get a certain age, they don't come to anything, but be there all the way through. It does make a difference. It makes them more feel better. My mom's here, it makes them learn more. They learn. It's easier for them to learn and be involved when the parents are involved. And I'm not talking about going up there hollering and screaming, but I'm talking about go up there, show your face, and begin to find out what's going on and allow not just you to grow, but your child to grow as well. So, any last words, ladies? Marla, any last words?
I would say to just begin the year on a positive note if you can. And if it's not possible as a parent to, be as involved, I talk to aunts, I talk to uncles, I talk to grandmas, I talk to granddads. I like meeting the family. It lets me know where these little pieces of the personality are coming from. Because all the big everything is a part of the process. We know that it's important just to connect with the students, and so that does mean connecting with family, because we're all a community. We think that it is important to just know that all hands, if all hands need to be on deck, all hands need to be on deck. And I
That's
just want to say
mhm.
that I hope everyone has a blessed school year. I hope that the summer, um, whatever it brought to your life, that you're able to use it. You got rest, awesome. If you were able to travel, great. I just hope that everybody's able to begin the new school year or whatever new part of your journey in education is on a positive note. And just know that there's a village behind you. Just access it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Everybody's not out
Everybody's
there.
not out there. No.
That's good.
That's
And
good. And
you know,
Okay, so I'm going to just overall say, um, definitely grace yourself as a parent and your children, because though they're in school, everyone's learning together at times. So, even in the space of whoever's working with your children, you're working with your children, everybody's learning. And
yeah,
so it's okay that you don't know answers. It's okay if you don't have the answers. It does not mean that you're unfit. It doesn't mean that you're alone, because look, just like Marla, excuse me, I'm putting an O on the end of your name. I'm sorry. Just like Marla said, it takes a village. And I think that's what I really believe that's what we need to get back to in this day and time. We're not enemies, you know what I mean? To a certain degree, when it comes to working with our children, I think that's one of the things that have been lost is really rejecting the village. But I really would say it's time to start embracing the village that you have, and your children will appreciate it. And you also will appreciate it because we learn better together. So that's what I would add. Have an amazing school year, whichever direction you're going in. And it's not a bad thing to say, I need help. Okay. All right.
that's a real one right there. I was thinking about on Instagram there was a scene, and the parent was like, "You just started school, you got work already," and he had the paper and he was reading the assignment and he was turning the paper like this and he was like, "This your homework?" And then he looked at it again and he turned it this way. He was like, "Uh huh," and then he said, "Hmm." He said, "Uh huh," and you got homework already, so I, that to me is so funny because that's how it is. Each generation, the way they change, the way that school you learn is so much different, and you think you're gonna get in there. I remember my daughter one year. I helped her with her homework, and I even seen this on Instagram. This parent helping the child with the homework, and the child got it wrong, and the parent was like, "Well, what you get it wrong for?" The child was like, "Cause you helped me," So we do have to get help. If we don't know what we're doing as parents, make sure you find someone. There's a lot of free opportunities out of there. And even if your child is in school, there's opportunities for tutoring. If you need to go with them or get some understanding, they have all type of services on the internet that they give you in the beginning of the year to help you have a successful year for your child. Please take time out of your schedule to see about your child. And that's my heart's desire. We can't, our children need us to help them be great. And when I say great, I'm just talking about to be the best version of themselves it takes us to help them. So until we meet again, I want to say thank you to the ladies. I appreciate you being here. We might have to do this another time and come together and talk about some other things. But I hope that we've given you enough today so that you can try to help or get involved with your children. And if you have any questions, these ladies' information is in there. Reach out to them, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to stir you in. What is it? Is it stir you in the right direction? Help you get it together so that you can help your child have the best. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. Do what you need to do to help your child. And if your child needs help, don't listen to your child say, I got it, and you know they don't. Get them some help. So until we meet again, have an amazing day and thank you. Those that are tuning in later, um, please hit the like sign, subscribe, and share. Someone else that's out there needs to know that there's help that's available to them. And then thank you. Have a great day.